Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Hollywood Knitter. My name is Allison and I'll be your host today. I'm recording from my home in Los Angeles, California on Saturday, July 20th, 2024. I hope this finds you well. It's been a minute since my last one and I have lots to share with you today. And hopefully everyone's having a great summer. We're halfway through in the US, or I guess the Northern Hemisphere. Southern Hemisphere is in snow. I actually saw some good pics from Joji Locatelli's snowshoe trip today. And it was like, oh, that looks very cold. But here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are deep in the summer and it is very warm. We're going into our summer warmness here in LA. And in actuality, that's why I'm going to get into it, because it's early in the morning for me and I wanted to get this recorded while I could still wear my latest FO, the Shocking Stripes, my wool sweater. So this, and I'm going to put a little video here of me standing up and kind of modeling it so you can see it in my my leggings. These are not what I would wear it with, but you know, this is the Shocking Stripes by Tori Yu. And this is a sweater my little knitting friend group, we've all done now. And most of them are on their second ones. And it is a top-down, very simple detail, 2 colors. So this, here, I'll show it to you here. This is just done with slip stitches. It's just a slip stitch detail and the stripes. And I did mine in Wool Dreamers Cautiva, which is a Spanish wool, 100% wool. And I used about 1,000 yards of the green and 265 yards of the cream. So very easy sweater, once you get to know this kind of stripe routine, very mindless, very happy with it. This is probably very well fitted for me. I have a lot of sweaters right now that are not too big, that are bigger than I would like to wear them. One, I made them when I was bigger, and so then they had that much more ease, so now the ease is a lot. So the fact that I have a sweater and it's fitted, and I like it, and I don't find the wool too scratchy. I was worried about that because it's kind of a rusticy wool. I haven't washed it, I just blocked it, but it's perfect. It's perfect. And I like the neutral. I wanted kind of a neutral. Ignore my t-shirt I'm wearing with it, with the collar. But it has a folded collar. And I actually, a folded over collar. I don't know. I can't remember what mods I made. I don't think I wrote them down. But I didn't do too many mods, really. And yeah. So very happy with it. Of course, finishing a sweater in the summer means I'm not, I don't know. I think I had a chance to wear it once so far because I brought it somewhere, maybe. But I definitely see this being a great fall sweater. It is, because it's sport weight. It's not too thick. And yeah, I just love it. So this is the Shocking Stripes by Tori Yu. This is the second pattern by Tori Yu I've done. I really enjoy her simplistic design aesthetic. She actually just has very simple shapes, but they just look good because she does these little details that just kind of just bring it up a little bit. So if you're looking for one, the Shocking Stripes by Tori Yu, I highly recommend it. If you go on to the project pages, there's a lot of people who actually do like the stripe in a shocking, like a neon or something like that. So it looks great with those kind of pops of color, and then it looks really great in these kind of neutralish too. I think I like that. So yeah, so this took me, I don't know, about 2 months to knit, which is relatively fast for me for a sweater. And I'm going to try to keep it on the rest of the podcast. Mainly because the t-shirt I have on, yeah, we're just going to say I'm going to keep it on. The other things I finished are just 2 pairs of socks. The first pair of socks is a new one for me. This is the Hazel Shorties by Ducati. I think she's European, and I can't remember what type of European she is, but she does a different kind of heel that I was looking at. It's harder to see in the stock, but I'll try to explain it. So this is top down, which I don't usually do. She does a folded over heel, and so you can do this little tab in the back. This is just done with short rows. So you just do a little short row thing. So, you know, the kind of the tab that's in the back of like athletic socks. And then you go down, and what I really like, so I have a high instep. So she does this little panel of purl stitches as like your gusset increases. And then she does a short row heel, but it's done in 2 turns. So there's short rows here, and then there's another short rows here. So it's sort of, instead of like a fish lips heel just sort of comes in and then hinges, and it's just the 1 hinge, this has 2 hinges. And I really like that. And I think it will be very easy for me to adapt to either toe up, toe down, because it's just short rows. And yeah, now this sock was my first sock, so I wasn't sure about the sizing. So one of the things when you do the turn, because it's from the top down, she says you can do provisional cast on or, you know, a regular cast on. And what I missed in the instructions, because I just did a regular long tail cast on, is she recommends doing it over 2 needles. So basically you have a bigger first loop. And that's important later when you're going to do it that way. When you go to just knit together, when you go to fold the brim and you go to knit it with one of the stitches of the cast on and then your next stitch. So what happened with these, although they do fit, they're just a little tight there because there's just not enough give. And then I knit these on the 68th stitch, which on a lot of socks will fit me, but it was just a little tight right here. So I could have used a little bit more. So I actually blocked these, which I don't usually do, and they're actually dry now. So, and then these are on my sock blockers that are just a little bigger. The idea is that hopefully it just stretched them out just a little bit, so I don't have them kind of, I wore them right after I finished them, and they were just a little too tight on the instep, and they hurt. Oops, they hurt after a few minutes. So, but I'm really happy with the pattern, and I'll show you another pair of socks. I started right away. I wanted to I really like this kind of short row heel. So I wanted to do another pair of socks almost right away to see if I could, you know, kind of customize it to really like it. Though I love this color combination. So this is Nadian Color Cinder and Smoke, and then this is Miss Babs Tart in French Marigold, both of which I have in my stash. I had made socks for my brother with this before, and I have a sweater with that. So I love that color combo. Now, the other pair of socks I finished are the Wonderment socks, and these are by Debbie Ford. And I was just looking for a sock that would look really good, little detail, but not super plain, a little detail, but not too much detail, something that'd be easy to memorize. And then I did it in this awesome, this is Suburban Stitcher sock in Granny Square. And I love these socks. Look at it. So the pattern is just done on the front, and it's pretty simple. I mean, it looks more complicated than it is. When you're actually knitting it, it's very easy. You know, there's just every 4th row, 6th row, you have an easy cable that you could just do. I do mine without a cable needle, so you do a little crossing, and then it's not on the back, so you have a plain back and a plain heel. And I did these toe up in my normal kind of fashion. I'm not sure who they're going to be for, but I really like them. They're so pretty. I'm torn with socks. Like, I like the mindless enough of them. I need mindless, but then I also like some with the pattern, but then I don't like to have so many projects going. So I don't know. I'm always torn that I want a really easy pair of mindless socks, but then that gets old too. So I did these, and then I did those, and if you notice, like, once you get to the foot, it's mindless. So yeah, so I finished both of those pairs of socks since I last saw you in May. And then I've just been working on a lot of stuff, and I'm going to show you all of the FOs I got going on. All right, let me move some of this stuff over. What do I have for my first one? Speaking of socks. So as part of my Make 9, I had Mike and I, my little project to try to use up really, to me, old stash, which is pre-2017. And one of the projects I picked for my Make 9 was a pair of Colorwork socks, which I've never done before. But if you follow Stone Knits, which I follow her Instagram, she does amazing Colorwork socks. And then just so many. Check her out if you're looking for them. Now, colorwork socks are a lot of work and they go on your feet. So I was hesitating, and then I was like, you know what, let me try them. And I finally started them. So I am knitting the Magical Mycelium socks. I love mushrooms. And here is my first repeat. How cute are those? So this green is Fiber Nymphs, I don't know, tweed that I got in an advent calendar a few years ago. And then these are all, the red and the white are scraps that I had. I think Ritual dyes that I used in a sweater recently that ran. So I actually had washed that. This is some Barocco Comfort sock. And then the main color that I'm contrasting it in is 716 knit. So I kind of like that I felt it was like earthy, kind of foresty. I only have one repeat because it is slow, because it is three colors. Now, she has these probably all down the foot. I don't think I'll end up doing that. I think I'm only going to do like a taller pair of ankles, and I'm just going to have this pattern on the ankles, and then I'll have a plain foot. To me, that makes more sense. I'm not the best at color work. It is slow, and I just don't think as many people are going to see the color work on my feet. So I will just do that. At least that's my plan right now. Who knows? I did find, and I do find when I do color work, because I do knitting in the round, I always have it tight where the needles change. So I was looking for tips on how to kind of take care of that or kind of combat that. And I saw one where they recommended knitting it inside out. So that's kind of how I'm knitting it. And the idea with that is that when you bring your floats around here, you're automatically kind of keeping them longer because they're on the outside, as opposed to in the inside where you can cut it a little too short. So far that seems to be working for me. But again, I've only done one repeat. So once I get a few more repeats in, I'll see if that's really working. But I'm pretty pleased with them. I think they're super cute. They're going to be super cute, and I'm going to love them. But I'm only doing a few rows, probably a few times a week. So far, I might pick them up and try to get a little bit more. But they're definitely going to be warm socks. Like, look at all of the, because you're carrying 3 yarns, you have a lot of float. So definitely some warm socks. Another reason just to make ankles. These are the Magical Mycelium socks by Stone Knits. And I think she has a new book coming out. I love her Instagram. She has a cat that looks like Apple. She's like a white cat. And yeah, so check her out. And I said that was a make 9. So I think, what are I think all of them are old yarns for me. Yeah, that Barocco Comfort sock, the white, I've had that since 2009. So it's probably one of the oldest things in my stash, and I just have a little bit left, so want to use it. My next project that I cast on, also a make 9, and this actually replaced a different project. So I had 2 yarns that I wanted to use that were old yarns. But then when I got to the project, I just didn't feel like they were right for that pattern that I had picked. And I didn't want to do that pattern per se anymore. And so I went down a rabbit hole, picked up a entirely new pattern, but used those 2 yarns still and 2 more. And this is the Forest Grove shawl by Mara Catherine Briner. And it has a different construction. I'm a sucker for a unique construction. So this one starts off circle, and then do a circle with a change, and then you pick up and you do the one side and then the one side, and then you pick up and make a I-cord. It's I-cord bind off, which I'm a little leery about because it can be a little tight. I'm trying very hard to make sure I do mine loose. And then you gradually change colors. So I have 3 colors in here right now. So this is Invictus Yarns Master of the Feet Falling Leaves Confetti that I think I've had in my stash. Oh, how long have I had it? 2017. So, and then this is Miss Babs Tart in a great purple. And then I'm on, this is Dream in Color Smushy and Share Sunrise. I got this at Loopy U in 2017. And then the last color that's going to be on the edge is this Lavender Loon. It's actually brand new that I picked up that somebody gave me, but it just all goes. Like, I'm so happy with all these colors and how they're mixing. And you do fade. I actually, because I wanted to make sure, because one of the project notes are wonderful, and one of the project notes talked about how with this shawl, you couldn't exactly do it with normal sock skeins because you needed more of this purple, and then the next color. You needed like 110 yards, which is great because this was a bigger skein, as was the Miss Babs. So hopefully it's perfect, but to make sure that it is, I'm all done with the center. So I've done the purple to one side and then put it on needles. And now I'm doing it the other side to make sure I don't do like a whole side and then not have enough for the other side. So if I'm short now, I will be able to kind of adjust so both sides are the same. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the purple, and it looks like I should have enough to what I need to do. Where was my purple? Yeah, I'm already down to this, but it should be enough. The other thing about this construction, which is kind of interesting, I think it will really bloom when I block it, but it basically alternates a yarn held single with a yarn held double. And so you have 2 rows single, 2 rows double, 2 rows single, 2 rows double. And I think that's going to be kind of an interesting, it's kind of hard to see now. But yeah, it's almost very subtle stripes, and I'm hoping it will bloom. Right now, it kind of looks like maybe I should have gone up a needle size, but way too late for that thought. And yeah, so I'm about halfway. And I'm loving it just because it's an interesting construction. I actually have one of a similar construction that Stephen West did. It was the eyeball shawl. I don't know if you guys saw it. I love my eyeball shawl. I have it downstairs. It is just the perfect size to just drop on your shoulders and kind of stay there. So I don't know, this seems like the same kind of shape, the same kind of, I mean, the construction's a little different, but same kind of shape. So yeah, so we'll see what it ends up. So that's the Forest Grove by Mary Catherine Briner. I started it about a month ago, June 10th. And I go through spurts because, let me show you, like there's no chart and there are literally, which I kind of love, like line by line by line instructions. And I am just checking off as I go, which I'm sure you've had this discussion, anyone who's knitting friends. A lot of people like to have them on their phone, and I do have my PDFs on my phone, but I do like a paper copy with all of my projects. I like to take the notes on the paper copy. I like to then do them into Ravelry. I just like, sometimes you need that bigger with a piece of paper. So I don't use, I mean, I have Adobe, and that's what I'll sometimes will note my project in Adobe or things like that, but I prefer a paper copy. That's where we're going with that. Okay, what else do I have on the needles? My other big one, which I have a new project bag that I picked up at the Zombie Apocalypse from Beautiful Sisters, and I love it. It's actually about to probably outgrow this one, but this is some yarn that I picked up this year. It's a brand new yarn from my friend from Queen City. Janice from Queen City has this is her Coleman Light, which is a silk linen blend, and it's a fingering weight. And I picked up or ordered 3 skeins when I saw this yarn at Zombie Apocalypse, and I was trying to figure out what did I want to do, and I ended up picking, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of a change for me. I'm not sure I'm gonna like the end product, but I did like the project photos. So this is the Doodler by Yumiko Alexander. And that to me just looked like a really loose, oversized, you kind of wear it over a tank top. I think it will look great in this juniper yarn. It is a different construction in the fact that it's 2 rectangle pieces that you then seam together. I haven't done seaming in a while, but I'm not afraid of it. Seaming used to be all the thing you would do when I first started knitting. Now everything's in the round, but and then I liked the kind of sculpture. I guess I'm doing 2 projects where you're like, I'm alternating holding 2 and then holding 1. So here's my piece so far. And yeah, so you can see it's going to be see-through with kind of darker areas where it is held double, less where it's held single. Then you got these kind of little sculptural kind of pull-in areas that on the back, they're just done by a series of slip stitches. I didn't master that because, I don't know, it's a little hard. You want them to come in, pull in a little bit because you want the stitches around to be tight. But like the first time I did it, I think it's a little, I know it is, it's a little tighter than I've done the other ones. But that's okay. So I am just going through it. And so it is, every section is kind of a different piece. And you kind of have a different section of single versus double going through. I think I am up to section 11 or 12 of 20, I think. I am going to probably make it without sleeves, but we'll see how much yarn I have left. I'm thinking it's going to be just cap because it's going to be, it's kind of oversized. That's how it's going to be on me. So yeah, so I'm only on the first, you do basically repeat 2 seam. I'm only halfway through the first one, and it is easy knitting in the fact that it's mostly just stockinette, or, you know, stockinette and garter with a few sections where, here, let me show you the front. A few sections where you got eyelets and then that little kind of tight piece right here. My thing is I'm trying to pay attention because I do want the front and back to be the same. If I mess up a little bit, nobody would know. I'm actually using, I don't even remember where I got this. It's from one of the recent events I went to. It was in a goodie bag somewhere. And I'm using this great little, where does it come from? I can't even read the back. Something Creations. But I'm using this as my counter and I like it. So I can count each section in case I put it down and pick it up. But I'm liking it very much. So that's the Doodler by Yumiko Alexander. And then the last one I have on the needles is another pair of the Hazel socks. And this is a Frankenstein pair. As I said, I wanted to kind of dial in or kind of play with the pattern a little bit to see how I wanted to mod it. And I'll show you, I finished one. And so I intentionally went and picked up, picked a skein of sock yarn that I had a little bit left of and another little bit. So this is Siren's Yarn Trick or Treat that I did a pair of socks with last year. And then this is that Miss Babs Tart that was in the last sock. And then I literally took those 2 balls and split them in half. So I knew I wanted to do this, and then I wanted to do the heel in a different color because I wanted to see how that would look. And then you can really see where the 2 wedges are. So you can see how this heel, wedge, and then so short row, and I like that. I like that a lot. And then the little wedge. And this one I did a little bit longer turning. So I wanted it to come up a little bit. I'm trying to find the perfect spot to hit on my ankle. I still did the tab, but the original pattern I think calls for 5 rows and then turn. And then I did this one, I did 10 rows. So I made it twice as long, did that. And then, as I said, I split the color, split back down. So I started with the 72 stitches this time. So I have a bigger ankle size and instep, and then I'm down to a 68 on the foot. And so I did it till I ran out of orange, just happened to be right at the toe. And then I used some of my forest yarns. This was the confetti, this was the middle one. And I had it right there and it blended enough. These are obviously for me. I don't mind Frankenstocks. So that was the first one. I knit quite a bit last night at the Dodger game that I attended. And so I got it all turned and I'm back on the foot again. So I'm in the mindless portion. I'll probably keep that for work this week and I should finish them out. I should finish them out this week. So I think this might be my new heel for a little while on my socks because I like it that you can not mess up the pattern if you wanted to, which is why I wanted to test this in another color, how it would look. So self-striping yarns and things like that, I could do it. And yeah, I just got a text that I gotta do something, but I'll do it in a minute. Yeah, so looks great. Super happy. And distraction. I am going to pause this. I have to do something and then I'll come back, okay? All right, I'm back. I had to spend a few minutes doing something. So where are we at? I went through all my FOs, I went through all my whips, and I'm going to talk about what's happening in life, of which one of that was just related. This week we went to the Hollywood Bowl. We have, my boyfriend and I have season tickets to go to the classical music on Thursday nights at the Hollywood Bowl, or actually every other Thursday night. So like 5 times throughout the summer. And we went to our first one for the summer 2024 this week, and it was a Mexican conductor, and he brought in the Ballet de Folklorico. It's the National Ballet. It's a dance troupe in Mexico where they do traditional dances and great costumes, and it was beautifully set at the Hollywood Bowl, where they came in the second half and they did all these dances while the orchestra played music, and it was beautiful. And he's at his mom's right now, and I think I took some videos, and he wanted me to send the videos, but then they were too big on my phone, and even by email, like whatever. That's what was happening. So that was a beautiful start to the summer. We went to 2 events in 1 week. We also went to a baseball game last night. We went I am a diehard Red Sox fan, being from New England, and I live with a Dodger fan. And last night the Red Sox came to LA and played the Dodgers. So we got tickets and we went last night, and the Red Sox lost, which was sad, but it was made up for the last time he went and saw the Dodgers and the Red Sox play at Dodger Stadium, which was during the 2018 not World Cup. I've got World Series. I've got soccer on the brain, where they lost. And so he felt very vindicated that now he had seen the Dodgers beat the Red Sox, and it was still a good game all around. It was always fun. And, you know, there were some Red Sox fans in attendance, which is always good. And, we also went to another Dodger game. So I've gone to 2 already. It'll probably be all I go to this year. But our friend gave us tickets for Pride Night. And so that's always a fun night. Very colorful, always a great energy. I can't remember who they played, but it was just a good night to go see baseball. Also going to soccer, LAFC. I think I've gone to probably 2 games the past 2 months. Yeah, 2, maybe 3. He goes to all the games. He's the major fan, and I usually just go to the weekend games. Like they had one during the week on Wednesday, and I didn't attend. It gets to be a lot, all these events. And then we also saw Mrs. Doubtfire. Yeah, we saw Mrs. Doubtfire at the local theater, which we also have tickets to. So I'm happy, because we've only been doing this the past 2 years, and I'm happy we do it, because it forces us into the date night that I think we hadn't been doing, especially post-COVID, you know, just getting out there. And so by having these tickets, it forces us, because we usually do dinner, you know, drinks, that kind of thing, at least for the theater. And then, you know, it's forced. It's not a forced date night. It's a date night, but with tickets. So we can't decide that we're too tired to do it. That we could. We're adults. We could decide that, but we don't. So yeah, we have the Hollywood Bowl now for the next 2 months, every other week. And then I think I have Company coming up is the next Pantages show. I think that's in 2 weeks. I was supposed to see Peter Pan a few weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, last week. But my season tickets are in the first week of a run, and they had some type of theater issues, so they canceled the first 3 shows. And it was one that I was sure I'll see it, because it was part of my season tickets, but it wasn't one that I had to see or really wanted to see. So I didn't reschedule that one. We just let it go. They just reimbursed me. And yeah, so Company's next, which I am looking forward to seeing. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing event-wise in town with family. I have had some travel since I last saw you. So I went to Zombie Apocalypse in June. I was there June 19th through 23rd, and I have a lot of yarny goodness to share. I'm going to show you my acquisitions. So this is Zombie Apocalypse. He just sent me another email. 1 second. Okay. Hopefully he's good. Anyways, sorry. I'm a little discombobulated. This is going to be a little bit of a cut together podcast, but Zombie and Apocalypse is in Rochester, Minnesota, hosted by the Stockinette Zombies, Megan and Amy, and I've been going to this event for a very long time. 10 years? 8 years? 9 years? Somewhere? A while. And I used it as a reason. I like going there. I have friends that go there, and it's just a very relaxing event and a beautiful place and always great yarns. So, what do I have to share? As I said, I've been going for a while. It's at the Hilton in Rochester, Minnesota. So it's always interesting to go to the Midwest. We saw some weather, some rain. I always get some really great walks around there. They have a great trail system in Rochester. And I got some yarn. And it's been so long, I don't even remember. Let's see. Some of this was goodie bag yarn. Some of this was purchased yarn. And let's show the goodie bag yarn. So the goodie bag yarn, I'm not sure what their theme was this year. I mean, I should, but I've forgotten already because it's been a month. These were the two that were in a goodie bag. So I got one and then someone gave me another. It is Vanguard Fibro Celestial. And then the other one was Walking on Sunshine. So you can see they probably gave a color theme, and because these are very similar, 2 different dyers, very similar colors that they came up with. So I really like these though. I mean, I love a blue and an orange, and they're both stock yarns, and so I could use them together potentially if I do something interesting because they are the same color family, or something different. So that was the goodie bag, and everyone gets a goodie bag. And actually, I don't have the bag with me. They gave a really interesting bag this year. It was actually a hard-sided bag, and I put it in my closet because I needed to put it away for something. But it is a hard-side plastic bag. It's like a tote size, and it was very cool. A little more challenging to get back on the plane, but very cool. And then I got a bunch of other little goodies. I still have it in my bag right here. You get little mini skeins. You get stickers and little codes. We also all got a doodle deck, which I've never had a chance to use this. I got the Portland doodle deck. So it's got like donuts and a bicycle and the Portland Bridge and things like that. So I got that for one of them. And then I think someone gave me theirs, and it's the Rhinebeck one. And I wanted this one because it's apples and yarn and sheep. And the idea, I guess, with these doodle decks, which I haven't played with them yet, so it allows you to do customization, basically. So basically you choose your theme, you choose your pattern, you choose your yarn, and then you can use all of these different, so like here's sheep, and so it's charted on the back how to do, or no, this is the apple chart, and some of these are harder to tell than others, what they are, but yeah, and then you kind of just put it all, here's the sweater one. It looks better. Oh, llamas. I can see it better when I hold it up. Sheep. I can see it better in the video. Here's more sheep. So yeah, so you can create your own little deck. And I know she's doing really well with these. It's a very smart idea. She's got lots of different themes. I think there's up to like 20 deck. And then in here includes instructions and then like 2 cowls kind of you can do with this. So yeah, that was fun to have those. So I might try to do that at some point. And then just other stuff. I got little cords. I got some needle stoppers. Yeah, so goodie bag is always a good time. And I like to use the yarn I get there. Because this year I got colors that are very me. But some years I get colors that are more not me. They have 2 kind of a market events. On the Friday now they have what they call their yarn truck wind up. And they have various yarn trucks. For years and years, 716 Knit has been coming. And she was the only yarn truck. And then it became, I don't know, there became more yarn trucks. I wouldn't say it's a trend, but there definitely are more yarn trucks out there. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 trucks this year. Yeah. And so I picked up from 2 of them. I got Fiber MacGyver sock blank. I like a sock blank, and this looks really fun with all the colors. I haven't even opened it. It's a double sock blank, I think. So yeah, so they were there, so I picked up that. And as I said, I'm a sucker for sock yarn, but I make socks. And then the colors. And then the other one I got was You Can't Trade Magic Like FM Pokemon Cards. And I just like this. This is a self-striping. And so it's black stripes with then colored stripes and white stripes. And This is Jenna from 716 Knits. I love her yarn. She does the sock yarn wears really well. The yarn I won this year, so they get a lot of donations, and most people, most years get it called for a prize. And so what I got this year was Amplifiber, dye I've never heard of, and this is a Merino DK, and it's called Cider Press. Again, a color right up my alley. So this will probably be a hat or something like that later on. It will definitely marinate in my stash for a while, but I do love the color. And I love getting, you know, just dyers I've never heard of before. I don't even know where she's out of. Or if it's a she. Maybe it's not. And then the only other purchase, oh, I got one more. I got a gift from my friend Janice, Queen City Yarns. She gave me a skein of her bulky, and this will definitely be a hat, and it's really cool looking. And that was the other person I purchased from. So I actually, the doodler I'm making out of is her yarns. And I have another sweater I did recently that is escaping me. It was the Andrea Mowry one that I had done with her Coleman DK. And I had some left. It was like a tan. And so I picked up 2 more Colemans to be able to do a t-shirt. And so this is the Coleman DK. So this is the silk linen. So it's 65% silk, 35% linen. I got this 2 skeins of this to be able to use with that other skein so that I can do it kind of a t-shirt. And then I picked up a skein of her Lotta Classic because I did my recent spin cycle hat with it. And this is really just a great yarn to do that with. So this is a sport weight and it is ballet slipper, and I wanted to do it with maybe my other sock skein. And I have Apple is potentially, yep, gonna jump up and around because she's here. So that was all of my acquisitions. So 1 for a project, 2 for socks, 2 just going in my stash, you know, that kind of thing. But I wasn't really looking for anything. So this is about right when I'm not looking for anything. I didn't go overboard. Picked up, you know, Ooh Shiny that I liked, won a great prize, had great door prizes. So all of those will go into my yarn acquisitions. Other than that, it was a great trip. I mean, I love seeing people. I love the hotel there. I actually, for the first time ever, I have status in Hilton, and most of the time I just get what I really like there is I get access. They have an actual executive lounge there, and it gets me Diet Coke all day, which I appreciate. But I actually got upgraded to a 1-bedroom suite, which hadn't happened before. And so I had way too much room for just me. And I actually think I would prefer just the normal room, but whatever. It was a surprise. They just, you know, you check in, they give you your key, and you go up there and you're like, oh, okay. The other big thing I did, so I came back from Zombie Apocalypse, was in town for a few days. Then I went to Florida. And this was with specifically for my grandmother's 92nd birthday. I had not seen her since probably pre-COVID. Had it been that long? Maybe. The rest of the family had gone down and seen her, but I hadn't. So we were going for my grandmother's 92nd birthday. My mom, my brother, that whole thing. My brother came down, my sister, all of my nieces and nephews went, and her boyfriend, and then my uncle flew in from one of my uncles lives down there, and then my aunt and uncle flew in from various places with their significant others, and we all kind of got together, and that was great. And then in that trip, I took my 2 nieces, 14 and 4, to Disney for, it was 2 nights. 2 nights? 1, 2, yeah, 3 nights. Whatever it was. We went to parks for 2 of the days. So we got there in the afternoon, and their room was ready. We actually stayed at the Wilderness Lodge. It was beautiful, beautiful on property, very close to the Magic Kingdom. And we got there early in the afternoon. We did the pool that day, hung around. The next day we went to the Magic Kingdom all day. We did take a break in the middle of the day, which was key because, oh my gosh, Florida, heat, humidity in July. It does seem to be the time of the year I visit just because it's when my grandmother's birthday is, but it is the worst time of the year to visit Florida. It really is. It is stifling, and I am not used to it. So we did take a break in the middle of the day. That was awesome. That was one of the reasons I chose that location in Disney, and that really helped. We came back. We played in the pool. We just rested and we went back, and the parks were not so bad. Then the next day we had checked out and we were going to Animal Kingdom. And we did go to Animal Kingdom, but we didn't have that break in the super heat of the day. And I think it had the humidity factor where the heat felt like 100 and something, and it was bad. There was not enough shade. There was not enough rides at Animal Kingdom to combat it as well. And so it was a much more challenging day. And we were done a little early. That park closes early, so we were hoping to just go to closing at 6, and I think we were done like 4-ish. And that was 4th of July, and then we went back. And so the first part of the trip, we stayed in the hotel, and then Disney, and then the last part of the trip, we all got a rental house. My sister got a house big enough for all of us, so we all kind of stayed in the house and chilled out and went and did various things. And then saw my grandmother a few times, including the day of the party. My sister had a little bit of challenge. They did a little bit of a different kind of trip, meaning my brother and my mom came down on the auto train. So they took my sister's large vehicle and they came down on the auto train, which leaves from Virginia and goes to Florida. So it cuts out a lot of the driving time and you get to just be on the train, and it's really fun. They'd done that previously. But they did that to bring my sister's car down so that she would have a big enough vehicle for like the family. And then she was going to drive back with them with my youngest niece, my 4-year-old niece. And then my mom and my brother were going to all drive back. And some people were flying. And then I took my 14-year-old niece back with me to LA for another almost week. So yeah, point is she had a bit of an accident with a curb, and she ended up breaking her drive shaft or something with her drive shaft, but on the day of my grandmother's party. And so we're at my grandmother's, who was 45 minutes from where we're staying at the house in Tampa. So this happened. They were supposed to meet us there with the rest of the kids. They weren't there. We called and she says, yeah, that she's at the mechanics and whatever. So I ended up having to do at latter end of the trip, I ended up having to do a lot of driving because I basically left my grandmother's party to go get them because it was my sister and the kids, and then brought them back. And then we all caravaned back with my uncle, and people were in the trunk and things like that. And then the next day, we had to ferry people back to my uncle's who lives down there, because then it ended up my sister's vehicle needed to be in the shop for 2 days or something like that. And so they couldn't start their trip the way. So family drama, basically. Family stuff that happens, but everyone was safe. That's why I said my sister was upset. I was like, look, I have a rental car. Maybe I didn't want to be schlepping so much, but it's okay. It was fine. We drove around and it all worked out, and it was a good trip. As I said, my middle niece, she usually comes and sees me for a week over the summer. So I took the opportunity of being there and just bringing her back, because for the last few years I've been having to pay, because I pay for her to come out, unaccompanied minor fees, which is an extra $200 fee. She's 14 this year, and she was with me. So we flew back, and JC came with me for this family trip too. He did great because it was a lot of family time. Yeah, and that's a challenge, always a challenge. And then my niece came back, and when she was here, we were supposed to see Peter Pan. That got canceled. We did go to the soccer game, and then we went to a movie. We went and saw Minions 4, which was super fun. She picked, but holy moly, seeing movies in person. Like, to be fair, we went to it used to not be a Shishi movie theater, but I guess it got bought out by AMC, and they did upgrades and stuff like that. So it does have the recliner seats, which a lot more theaters have. Has a bar in the theater, but we didn't do that. But we still went and saw an early movie, and it was $30 a person. Like, all of the different theaters, and they had it in 3D, they had it in IMAX, they had it in the stuff, like all of them were like 27 and above. I was like, oh my goodness. Then I just sucked it up and said vacation. And then this is the reason why I watch everything on my TV at home these days, because I can't imagine if you're a family, like, having to do that and then getting her a popcorn and a drink and everything. Like, oh man, I remember movies were, sub $5. But anyways, I'm old. But it was fun. So she was out here, and then we also did some shopping, because that is what a teenage girl's favorite thing to do, is shopping. And so we did that a little bit, or I shouldn't say all of them. My niece's, one of her favorite things is shopping. So yeah, and then got her, luckily, she's 14 now, and most airlines 15 is adult to fly by yourselves, but JetBlue, which is what traditionally she flew as an unaccompanied minor anyways, it's 14. So she flew back last Sunday, and we had to get up early, get to the airport, but luckily I don't know if any of you guys, but in case you're wondering, like, I have flown my nieces and nephews a few times. If they are flying even as an adult and they're under the age of 18, usually the airline will give you a gate pass to go with them to the gate and hang out with them until they board the plane. And that is nothing. You just have to wait in line and request it. So I got a gate pass, and then I, got her some food. She got on the plane, and then her mom picked her up at the other end. So she is getting to be more of a savvy flyer. She's still a little bit of she's still a bit of a teenager. So I was trying to push her, so I had to, okay, download the app onto your phone. So you have the mobile boarding pass. We'll also get you the paper one. Read the details. Where's your gate? Read the board, that kind of stuff. Trying to teach her how to travel. In case you get, it is always possible. It is a privilege to get a gate pass, not a right. And so it could very well be on one of these times that, in the next few years before she turns 18, they'll ask for one and they'll look at her and they'll say no. She still looks young, so there will. But anyways, so yeah, so she had a good trip out here, and now I am vacationed out. This is my first weekend home, not doing anything in a while, which is why I wanted to get this podcast in before. I've had the yarn for a while, and I have upcoming plans. I got travels next week. I'm going to Vancouver, Canada, which I've never been to, which will be super fun. This is my college girlfriend trip. So we are going up there Thursday and coming back on Monday, and that will be exciting. And then I also am going to Virginia for a week with more of my knitting friends, and we are being hosted, some of my friends, and I'm fully expecting a very fun summer week of knitting and hanging out and outdoor stuff. I don't know exactly the plan, but it's going to be awesome. And then in the beginning, pretty much October, the first 2 weeks, I'm going to Morocco with my brother and my uncle and my aunt, who I just visited in Florida. They're very excited, and we have all of our arrangements now, getting my tickets and things like that. So we are booked out, and super excited to go, actually. Super excited. And then, so that's 2 weeks. So I'm going to fly to Boston on a Saturday and bring clothes for 2 trips, because I have a trip after that. And then on the Sunday, I think I fly out with my brother from Boston to Casablanca. And then we meet our tour, and we're there for the 2 weeks, and then we fly back. So I fly back to Boston after 2 weeks. And then I'm going to visit my family for a few days. Nieces, nephews, mom, they'll like to see me. And then that Thursday, I'm going to Rhinebeck with my knitting buds, and I will be at Rhinebeck. We're actually staying outside of Rhinebeck. We're staying at a beautiful house in the Catskills this year, city of Catskills. And we'll be at Rhinebeck, I don't know, Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure which day. I don't think we're doing any of the other events as of right now. I'm good. I just want to hang out and knit. And then I fly back on Monday, of which at that point I will have been gone over 3 weeks. And yeah, and then getting back into it. And then no more trips planned for the rest of the year. Just normal, stay around. Next year, got lots of things in my brain, but nothing concrete yet. Oh, actually, I take that back. I just signed up for the Virginia Beach knitting get together. That's hosted by my friend Martha. She put out the registration this week. So I am scheduled to go back to that in February. And I plan on doing my normal knitting things. So Northern California Knitting Retreat, Zombie Apocalypse, Virginia Beach. And then I have a few other, as I said, things I've been talking to my family about. I want to do another international trip. I was thinking of doing a cruise with my mom and my nephew. And I want to do a big beach trip with my boyfriend. Like a blowout beach trip, like French Polynesia or Maldives or something. But I don't know if next year is going to be the year. We'll have to see. But I am excited about my upcoming trips. And then I will be excited to have no trips for a little while. It definitely takes a lot out of you. I have a homebody tendency. So I'm a bit of the introvert. I like being here. So yesterday I had half a day of work and I was home most of the time by myself. And I just did stuff, like needing to get organized, needing to get ready for the podcast, going through all the pictures from vacation. I had a lot of pictures that I took at Disney and things like that I needed to send my sister, and just different stuff that doesn't get done when you're kind of running around. So now I have one or two more to do things on my checklist today, and then I should have the rest of the weekend that I can sit and knit and chill and hang out with my cat. My cat, who missed me so much. She did not like, since we were both gone, usually I travel a lot without my boyfriend, so he's here. But for both of us to be gone for over a week, his son checked in on the cat and fed her the first few days, and then I had a cat sitter. And by the end of it, the cat sitter's like, yep, she didn't want to come out. She was under the bed. She was hissing. She does not like it. I'm not sure how she was when she was with my boyfriend's cousin, but for me, she is my cat. She misses me. She wants me. She wants to be near me. She's lying right in front of me right now. She follows me from room to room. And so, yeah, she was very, very happy I was home and did not leave my side or let me out of her sight, and was very sad. She's chilled out a little bit. It's been a week now. But yeah, yeah, if we ever had to go for a long period of time, I don't know. She needs to like someone else more. But so that was that. And so during my various trips, I pretty much knit on the socks. These socks when I was in Florida. I brought one other project, but I hardly got any knitting time. Like, I had this idea that, oh, when I'm not at Disney, I'll be sitting around knitting, and it really didn't happen that way. Just family stuff, sitting around talking and doing things, and yeah, not relaxing, sitting around vacation. So I didn't get a ton of knitting done. I did read some books though. Since my last podcast, I have read 22 books. So in the last 2 months. So I'm averaging 10 to 12 a month, which is good. Continuing some supernatural romance, Robin Pierman's Midlife Crisis. I love that on audiobook. It is the silliest supernatural campy thing, and I love the narrator. And so they're like 5 hours, and I love it. So yeah, I'm all caught up, so I'm trying to space out. Like, I read a lot of series, and someone asked recently, how do you do your series? Do you just read one after another? And I try not to, actually. Once I get into a series, depending on how many there are, I might read really quick the first few and then kind of space it. Now, if I have an author that is in a series, I try to basically wait until I have 2 books in my queue. So like, her latest one has just come out and I read the one before it. And that way I'm doing it once a year or something like that, or maybe a little more. But I read a lot of series. So I just read the Shauna Kelly Sam Quinn book 6. This is a paranormal, wolves, vampires, things like that. I really like the character, Sam Quinn, and it's just following another adventure of that. And fantasy, I finished Kevin Hearn's The Druid Chronicles, so book 10. And that was a very interesting. It follows, basically, there are gods of different pantheons and they exist, and then there's this druid who's managed to live through various things and is tied to the earth and has lived for many years, and it's been this kind of trials and tribulations of this overarching story throughout these 10 books, and that wrapped up. So bittersweet whenever it wraps up a series and you might not see the characters again, but on the other hand, it's wrapped up, which I appreciate. I read Fairy Tale by Stephen King, and this was actually audiobooked it, and it was a long audiobook. It's probably 20 something hours. It was really, really well done. Every time I read Stephen King, there's a reason Stephen King is so popular. He is a wonderful writer, and this was recommended by my boyfriend, who was interesting. He said he listened to the first half, and the first half is this really great coming of age story, and then the second half is this fantasy book, and he liked the first half of it, the kind of coming of age, and then stopped listening at the fantasy part, which I really enjoyed. The fantasy part, it was very well done. So if you're looking for, and it's exactly that, it's a fairy tale, and a great iconic coming of age young man who becomes the hero of the story and things like that, and trials and tribulations. A lot of the stereotypical archetypes of a fairy tale, but just well crafted and well done. I really liked it. I also read A Rip Through Time by Kelly Armstrong, and actually got some other friends to read this. And this was a great... Kelly Armstrong, I haven't read too much of her, but she has a few different series. And I read a previous kind of romance series, and then this was a little different. It was a modern, I forget where she's from, Canada maybe, police officer who's visiting her grandmother in Scotland and basically falls through a rip through time kind of thing. And then it's in Scotland in the 1800s in inhabiting someone else's body. It's kind of a body swap kind of thing. We think it's a body swap. And then, but it was done basically because someone tried to strangle her, and both her and the strangler got dropped into other bodies. And so it was kind of thing. So it's basically her dealing with being a modern woman in a society where women are not as strong. And then also not even in your own body. Like, she is a 30 something experienced woman who's dropped into a body of like a 20 something year old who's like a housemaid and has a checkered past and things like that. And very well done. I liked the elements. It's like that mystery kind of mystery crime element that I like, with kind of a bit of a supernatural element. And yeah, well done. It's part of a series. I read the first book. I think there's 2 more now. And I recommend it. It was just really well done. What else have I read that I would recommend? Kim Harrison, First Contact. This was an audiobook. Kim Harrison is a fantasy author that she did the Hollow series and many books, and I really enjoyed it. So this was this is a science fiction book for her. It's first contact between 2 species, and it's kind of, I think it's a trilogy because I've seen that there's 3 books. And they're shorter. I think the audiobook was like 5 to 6 hours. And so it is the first contact of a different species, and it's just well done. I mean, I love that kind of thing. So if you're looking for I would say science fiction book, but not heavy, and it's more about how alike we are and not alike we are in relationships, and that the main character is a scientist that gets pulled into a military installation as a consultant, and then finds out it's because they have discovered this species that had appeared during an eclipse, who are intelligent and things like that, and it's studying them, and it's like, are they lab rats? Are they intelligent? Why are they here? Trying to teach them speech. And then in the secondary kind of thing you get from the species, because they are very intelligent, and you get their side of it too, and then it climaxes in this climax, and that will lead into the second book, I'm sure, which is out. So I'm adding it to my audiobook. Linda Castillo, Kate Burkholder series. This is a science fiction, or not a crime series, where Kate Burkholder is a former Amish woman who has now left it and in the interim time become the chief of police. And this is like book 15, and I love the series. And in this one, it's just a short novella, kind of in between. She, I think, just got married from her longtime partner, who is another police officer, and this was just kind of a honeymoon book. And so then leading into, I think her next one is coming out very shortly. And I'm continuing to listen to Martin Walker, Chief Bruno series. This is another crime, mystery crime series, and there's a bunch of them, and I'm catching up. And I love the French, kind of told from a French point of view and that kind of thing. And it's a very small town community, a lot of the same characters, but then, there's that mystery, that crime they're solving, and the different ways that Bruno goes about it is great. So I listened to book 3 and 4 of that series. I think that series is like up to like 17 or 18. So it took me a little while to catch up. And the last book I read, which has been a bestseller for many years, but I hadn't read it, was City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. I'm not even sure how this fell onto my list. Typically I don't read novels unless they're recommended by friends. So I have 1 or 2 on my list that friends have recommended. But this was very well done. I listened to it. It was a great story. great story of someone's life told from, you know, New York from the beginning, you know, kind of now, and the different ways, you know, life takes turns. So it was well done. It was a good listen, and I'm sure many people have listened to it because it's been on the bestseller list. And that's City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. And that's kind of all I have for now. I think this is a lot. This is going to be a long podcast with a few jumps, so I apologize, I know, for my cuts in there and my changing of pauses and things like that. I probably won't be back until August. After August. Probably late August. Oh, excuse me, I got an itchy nose. Late August. I have trips. I mean, it's already the middle of July, so yeah, August or September. That's when you'll probably see me again. Until then, I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. Get out there. It's beautiful. It's probably going to be hot today. I'm going to go take my shocking stripes off. I'm going to go, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's warm now, so I'm probably going to knit. Honestly, I'm going to knit. I feel like I have not done enough knitting lately. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoying everything. Everyone's having a good time. Everyone's try not to get too bogged down if you're in the US by politics. I actually have a funny story. My friend, I wasn't paying attention, and I'm not paying attention to the news because I'm not. I can't. For my own personal mental health, like following the day-to-day tribulations of the ups and downs of what's happening in our politics right now is just not where my headspace wants to be. But that also means I don't pay attention to a lot of other news, like a hurricane that hit my friend in Houston. And the next day she's like, thanks for checking up on me. And I was like, to be fair, I was on vacation as well, but I just it didn't even occur to me. Yeah. Anyways, I hope everyone has a great summer or winter or wherever you are and is getting knitting and enjoyed my little rambles today, and looks forward. I'll see some of you when I see you, or say hi to me if you're at an event where you're going to see me, or just enjoy knitting. Just enjoy knitting and check out these Hazel shorties. I really like them. I really like those heels. All right, I'm going to go down. Oh, you can find me as Allison1031 on Instagram, which I never Instagram. Very rarely. I'm also that on Ravelry. I do keep my projects up to date on Ravelry. You can go find pretty much there. That's how I keep track of my stash and my patterns, so it's in there. My notes might not always be very good, but my yarn and my needles and when I started and all that stuff is. Other than that, that's a wrap from Hollywood, where fantasy meets fiber and dreams are knit. Bye, everybody.